I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We live in a world where political interests can only be fulfilled by those who are privileged enough and have enough money to enter politics to begin with. What are the implications of this? The implications are a system in which politics is driven by capitalists and rich property owners to create glorifications within the media. It creates branding and marketing as well as online or offline presence to drive their certain voters to them, and they are the only visible candidates, right? Making those candidates who came from different economic background unable to opt into the election and ask for campaign donations, which is not effective. And I will explain this further in my argumentations. So how should democracy actually work? Democracy existed because we as the working class was so tired of feudalism, a system where people glorify hierarchy and social structures created by monarchs who contributes nothing towards their society but abuse their power anyway, while they themselves was a monarch by rights at birth. Democracy exists in our society to make sure that people are governed by those who are capable and competent enough, and they can actually fulfill the rights of their people so that their people can exercise their rights to the fullest, right? It's called the system of meritocracy. But this does not happen because capitalists and property owners dominate elections due to their wealth and gave them as an upper hand and popularity and managing their campaign easier. So what do we want in the opening government? Number one, we want an actual fair election. First layer of analysis. What happened in the status quo is so depressing because the moment when only the capitalists and rich property owners are able to opt into politics, this limits the chance for people who actually want changes to have prominent name and a prevalent position on its electability. Because as a business person, they would usually already have peers in the political parties, right? Yes, in the status quo, when you are popular enough, you can raise funds through campaign donation, but this is still not effective because the campaign funds wouldn't be as much as the business owners' money and their funds from their parties, right? Making an imbalance of power dynamics exists while the other candidate could have had more merit and competence but just unable to compete due to monetary issues. But second layer of analysis, the implications of this type of limitations is how politicians who came from underprivileged background and actually want to create structural changes to the working class, the minorities, the oppressed, and the disenfranchised can't opt into, no matter how much they want the change to happen. Meaning the policies and regulations that will be passed wouldn't be the one that satisfy the people, but satisfy the business owners too, because they are dominating the parliament and the government. And we know how much business owners and companies want looser regulations so that they can always maintain their profits, right? So what is our mechanism? The mechanism from our side is going to be very, very simple. We will ban every single type of non-public crowdfunding, meaning that funds that came from companies and the NGOs will all be disallowed. We will only let public to fund the candidates and political parties that they desire, just like what happened in the status quo, but minus the support from certain companies. By this way, people would have equal chance to show the world what they can actually do to create changes in the society and what programs that they will offer so that they can do it in a better way. This will eventually incentivize the candidates and political parties to be closer to their subjects and people instead of only focusing on how to win the election by sacrificing money here and there, right? They will be more focused on how to take the heart of the people, how to show people that you actually have a good leadership skill, so people would be more likely to donate towards you. All right. But what is the third argumentation? What is going to be the impact on our side of the house? The impact is that we are not going to glorify a political election as a system of political election that will only glorifies the rich and business owners. We want an actual fair election that will give equal chance and equal opportunity for all to utilize their skill and charisma for the better. This will create more inclusivity because those who can opt into the politics are not only the capitalists and business owners anymore, meaning that there are chances for us to have more feminist Congress and Parliament members that will create more gender sensitive policies, or more people of color who can relate to the oppression that happens in the status quo and can advocate for a betterment through debate in the Parliament and lobbying, so a better situation and protections towards POCs and immigrants can be reached, right? So, in the opposition world, what is going to happen exactly? in the opposition world, where you will stick in the status quo with the imbalance of power due to huge difference in capital, you will only let capitalists to rule the media, rule the politics, and will eventually pass only policies that will only be beneficial towards the business owners and not the actual public that you actually need to serve. Ladies and gentlemen, the burden of the opposition team is to prove to us as to why, when there is a clear and significant imbalance of power between the candidate, it will still be fair. And how would the opposition's and how would the opposition side of the house would still serve the best interest of the public and not the capitalists that and not only the capitalists and the business owners, while the endorsed individuals are business owners or rich jet set people who cannot relate to the class struggles and the oppression, right? We resent this type of elections, ladies and gentlemen, because it's only going to glorify a much bigger gap and social injustice that will eventually happen, right? Because the imbalance of power, meaning that only capitalists that will reach that will rule the Congress and also the Parliament, and we think that this is a very very bad condition because, as we all know, just like what happened in Pekanbaru when smokes is happening, it is caused because a lot of companies are lobbying the government so that they can loosen up the regulation so that they can have more lands and they can eventually get more profit, right? This is what happens during the Reagan and also Thatcher's governance in the UK and also in the United States back in the 80s, because they're so focused on privatizations. No matter what kind of no matter what kind of protection that they're actually trying to do towards the disenfranchised group, it will eventually only benefiting the rich. It will only benefiting the property and also the business owners in the end of the day, right? And the moment when business owners are already being satisfied and the government actually get a lot of taxes from the business owners, this will eventually make an imbalance because only conservative policies and only the policies that will maintain the status quo in which the company can actually do whatever they want to do is being glorified and being maintained, right? And we don't want this. We all want changes. We want to advance the social changes so that people who came from the minority and the oppressed can actually have a betterment in their lives, right? And by all of those reasons, we believe that those kind of betterment through equalizing the chances of the candidate is not going to happen under the opposition side of the house. We do not want that, and we beg to propose. Thank you.